All right, everyone. Welcome to Small Business News. I'm Ryan Howe. This is a show where I share just some of the information I share with my clients every single day here. So I hope I earn your subscription. It's the latest data from the NFIB Optimism Index survey just came out, and that's NFIB is National Federation of Independent Business Owners. And not a whole lot of that shows that we're in a very strong economy. In fact, it's some of the worst numbers we've seen historically. Let's get into it. Now, again, links to everything will be in the description somewhere in this area, so you can go check it out there. Let's get started. So the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index reached the highest reading of the year, May at 90.5, a zero point 0.8 increase, but still the 29th month below the historical average of 98. The uncertainty index rose 9 points to 85, the highest reading since November of 2020. 22% of owners reported that inflation was their single most important problem in operating their business, unchanged from April, and the top business problem among owners. And this is from the NFIB chief economist Bill Dunkelberg. Again, I always go back to Dinkelberg from Fairly Odd Parents when I see his name. Sure, he's a good guy, but man, I can't get past that. The small business sector is responsible for the production of over 40% of GDP and employment, a crucial portion of the economy. But for 29 consecutive months, small business owners have expressed historically low optimism, and their views about future business conditions are at the worst level seen in 50 years. Small business owners need relief as inflation has not eased much on Main Street. And the thing is, we're in this before we continue on here, we're in this difficult spot where any relief that's given to small business owners by the government is going to make more inflation, which is going to cause the problem. So we're in this really tricky spot right now where all of the capital that was put into the system between 2020 and the end of 2021, where we printed 25% of all dollars ever created during that time frame, is still working its way through the system. It's that's where a lot of this inflation is coming from. But also, we're on our way towards the back end of whatever this is going to look like, i.e., for a soft landing or a hard landing in the economy. But the rest of the world, large portions of it are coming out of their recessions, and they're growing, which is going to continue to put price pressures across the board. So we're not out of the woods by any way, shape, or form when it comes to inflation. So let's look at this. So here's some key findings. A net negative 8% seasonally adjustment of owners viewed current inventory stocks as too low in May, down 4 points from April, and the lowest reading since October of 1981. Which means their inventory is too high. Owners plan to hire, they rose 3 points in May to a seasonally adjusted 15%, the highest reading of the year, this is the time frame when you see a lot of hiring going on, getting ready for the summer season. And then 6% of owners reported that financing was their top business problem in May, up 2 points from April. And the last time financing as a top business problem was this high was June of 2010. You have to remember right now, banks, they don't want to loan money right now. They need to, but they also don't want to, because it has to do with whatever the arbitrage is going to be between the rates that they have to loan the money out to versus what it's going to cost them to borrow the money in order to loan that out. In case you didn't know, the banks don't have your money just sitting there in the bank. They keep very little money in the banks anymore on the premises. It's all based wire transfers back and forth between them and the Fed. All right. As reported, the NFIB in the NFIB's monthly jobs report, a seasonally adjusted 18% plan to raise compensation in the next 3 months, down 3 points from April, with the lowest reading since 2021. 42% of all owners reported job openings they could not fill in the current period. We are still sitting at 8.5 million job openings in the U.S. 8.5 million. It's a lot. 58% of owners reported capital outlays in the last 6 months, up 2 points from April. Of those making expenditures, this is always important to see where businesses are spending their money. 40% reported spending on new equipment, 25% acquired vehicles, 16% improved or expanded facilities. 11% spent money on new fixtures and furniture, 6% acquired new buildings or land for expansion, and 23% seasonally adjusted planned capital outlays in the next 6 months, up 1 point from April. So business owners are still spending money. They are spending money on capital allocations. The issue, though, is how much and what are they investing in? That's the other piece. Now, a net negative 14% of all owners reported higher nominal sales in the past 3 months. A net percent of owners expecting higher sales volumes fell 1 point to a net negative 13%. Yeesh. The net percent of owners reporting inventory gains fell 1 point to a net negative 7%. Not seasonally adjusted, 11% reported increases in stocks, and then 15% reported reductions. Oh boy, these are terrible. So a net negative 8% seasonally adjusted, as we mentioned. Inventory stocks were too low, the lowest reading since 1981. A net negative 6% seasonally adjusted of owners plan inventory investment in the coming months, unchanged from April. Trying to get those inventory levels down, folks. The net percent of owners raising average selling prices was unchanged from April at 25%. So we have 25% of business owners are raising prices. That's where it's been. It's a rolling number that keeps going. Now, 22% of owners reported that inflation was their single most important problem in operating their business. Unadjusted, 12% reported lower average selling prices, and 40% reported higher average prices. Just for the record, if we ever get to the point where that unadjusted number for the lower selling is higher than the reported for higher selling, we're going deflationary. Bad things are happening in the economy, terrible things if that ever flips. So I will take that where it's at right now, that it's only 12%, but that number's been creeping up, and as that gets larger and larger, that means really bad things for the economy. Again, price hikes were the most frequent in retail, finance, construction, then manufacturing and services, and then 28% planned price hikes in May. So they're going to be raising prices going into the summer season as well. So that inflation is not slowing down. All right, let's take a look at some of these. So let's take a look at this here and just kind of see where we're at here. So here's the Optimism index, right? It's where we want to be hanging out, is, you know, obviously up here, lots of goodness. And we all know this. This was the era of everything is awesome, right? On the business world, Trump came in, cut taxes, everything shot up, and then it's been on a down ever since that. Ever since COVID hit. But even then, at the peaks, we were already starting to see in 2019. We were already starting to see those issues. So you can just see where it's coming down. All right, let's talk about the labor markets a little bit. Let's take a look at just some of the what they have here. Our small businesses planning to hire. You can see we had this great bit of hiring. It was leveling off in 19, and then we coming out of the pandemic, absolutely we're looking higher. But as you can see, that number has consistently gone down again, and we are back down to levels that are back in 2016. Are they hiring again? Are small businesses hiring workers? Are they actually hiring? Yeah, and that number stayed pretty consistent. No worries there. And then small business hire enough workers. So percentage with at least one unfilled job opening. Look at this. And this is where we've had this piece here, but it's been coming down, where the number of businesses they have basically, it's been dropping down where they have unfilled. So they've been filling them, but they've also been cutting those positions as it's been slowing. And you can see now we're getting a spike back up again on that area right there. All right, capital spending, again, inflation we talked about here. Let's just take a real quick. Net percent of owners raising average selling prices was unchanged. Again, that 25%, which is always good to see. Price hikes were most frequent in retail, 55% higher, finance, construction, and manufacturing. All right, let's take this last one here. So compensation earning, this is an important piece. Seasonally adjusted and at 37% reported raising compensation. That's down one from April. A seasonally adjusted net 18% plan to raise compensation in the next 3 months, down 3 points from April. Let's see here. That's the lowest reading since 2021. So they are not able to. We have folks where the number of raises aren't going up as you want to see. Okay, 20% said labor quality was their top business problem. Again, just behind inflation, and then frequency of reports of positive profit trends was net negative 30%. Going the wrong direction, folks. And with that, owners reported lower profits. 32% blamed weaker sales, so sales are down. 15% blamed inflation for materials. 14% blamed labor costs. 11%. That's that number, folks. We won't want to see this one get too high. 11% cited as lower selling prices. And then as far as for inventories, which we already talked about here. So with that, I highly recommend all of you take a moment, go check this out. The link is in the description. If you are not a member of the NFIB, or if you don't subscribe, please consider it. They're great. Again, this isn't sponsored in any way, shape, or form. Again, I come here quite a bit, and this is where I'm consistently looking at. This is some of the most important information for my clients as I help them. Again, you want to learn more about what I do to help small businesses grow faster than they ever thought possible, head over to summitbusinessguys.com, where you can learn a little bit more about how I use the Pinnacle Business Operating System with my clients to help them grow their businesses. You can learn just about a few of the clients that I work with here in West Michigan and around the country. Learn a little bit more about me, connect with me on my, get social with me here. If you want to get a little more in-depth on Pinnacle, you can see the information here. Then you can take a look at, again, my posts here on Facebook, follow me there. And then my most recent long form video that I have on YouTube, which covers how to hire the best employees. It is the applicant funnel that my clients use to keep the wrong fit employees out and only bring in the right fit employees. So with that, thank you for your time today. I hope I earned your subscription. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.